Hi everyone, Savannah here, and today we're sketching beautiful seashells, bringing those ocean vibes right to your art. I'll be using my custom Procreate brushes, which you can grab in the description down below. I also have my color palette and my template that I use for this video, both of which are in that description. Let's make these seashells come to life. First thing we're doing is changing that background color, so go into layers, select the background layer, and we're going to do this blue color as the base. We'll add more details to that in a second, but go ahead and add a new layer, bring it below that outline layer. We're going to grab this light yellow color. We're going to be tracing and filling in the inner part of these shells first. Now that those are filled, we are going to do the outer shell. So go ahead and add a new layer above the inner shell layer. We're going to grab this lighter, it's still kind of yellow, but it's a much lighter color, and start tracing the front shell first. Now on another new layer, we're going to work on the back shell. We will bring this one behind that front shell because it's tucked in the back. You can do that now. I didn't do that yet. I will move that here in a second, but just know that this layer should be below that front shell. Now that we have the base colors of these shells, we're going to alpha lock all of those layers. We're going to start with that inner part of the shells first. I'm going to be grabbing this orangish color and start adding in some variation here. I'm using that circle blend brush, and we're just going to add some variation to the inner shell. Once you have some of the orange laid down, you can pick up that yellow-orange color and do the same thing, just add some variation here and there. You can follow kind of the lines that I added in for the template, or you can kind of go off of your own style if you want. I'm just kind of adding a little bit to give it some definition here. Now I also wanted to pull in a little bit lighter color, so I'm going to take that yellow, go a little bit lighter, and add some spots here and there, almost like a white color here. I just wanted a little bit more variation. And now we're just going to blend these colors out. So to grab a color of slightly blended color that's already there, just hold your finger down on the color you want to grab. It will select it in the color picker, and then you can use that to blend out. This is helpful to blend out colors a lot more seamlessly instead of just using two very stark colors and trying to go back and forth. It's easier to grab that mid-tone and then blend out from there. And with the circle blend brush, you can use it very lightly. It's a pressure sensitive brush, so you don't have to press too hard to get it to blend. The softer you press, the softer it's going to blend out. Harder you press, the more it's going to pull in that pigment that's selected, and so it'll be a little bit harder of a contrast. And so just keep that in mind as you're blending these colors out. Now the inner shells are complete, we'll work on the outer shells. I do have a few things I need to tweak on my outer shell here, so I'm turning off the alpha lock for now, grabbing that color, and just kind of fixing the shape. Now that I have that inner portion done, there's just a little bit of rough edge that I had to fix. So now make sure you turn back the alpha lock on, and let's add some colors here to the shell. With the alpha lock, it's going to keep it confined to the shape that we colored in, which is really helpful so you're not going outside the lines. But we're just going to add some color here and there. Have fun with this. You don't have to go exactly how I'm doing it. I just wanted to add some color. I'm going to do some blues. I'm going to do purples and just keep building up on the shell. And you'll notice I'm very roughly putting in colors. I'm doing this so that I can visually see what it's going to look like, and then I'll blend it out at the end. But it kind of helps me see as I'm building on these colors and these layers. I can see, okay, is this where I want this color? Do I want a different color? Is this too dark? Is this too light? Or do I like how it's looking composition wise? So you can do very rough sketches here to add that color, and then we can blend at the end. I also want to add some of this red orange color because I think it's going to look really pretty against the purple. It's going to have a really great contrast. And so we're just going to add in a bunch of colors. Again, have fun with this. You don't have to go exactly how I'm doing it with mine. Just add in some color to the shell, and then I'll show you how we're kind of work it out towards the end. Now you could start kind of blending it out. You'll see that I'm starting to blend out some of these sections. I'm using these mid-tone colors to help blend that out. Again, you can always do, grabbing a color on there that's already blended and blend out even further, but I'm just going to start slowly blending these out as I'm adding in these colors. And I'm going to turn the layer off so that I can see where I need to be more distinct with the shape of the shell. So where those lines need to be, it's helpful. It's hard to see, as you can tell from what we have currently. It's a little bit messy. It's a little blurred. A lot of the shells kind of blending into each other. So turning that outline layer off will help you kind of see where you need to be more defined with the shape. And so I'll work on that as I'm blending this out. And I'm just going section by section, blending this out now and making it a little bit more smooth. We'll add more detail to the shell in a little bit, but for now I'm just trying to get this base layer blended out before we add detail. And again, I'm just kind of picking up colors that have already been blended out. It helps blend it out even further. And I'm just doing a light touch here with my Apple Pencil to blend these colors in. You can make them a little bit more stark of a blend if you want, if you don't want it to be quite as blended, or you can blend even further than I'm doing. Really, again, have fun with this. Do the coloring, do the shading how you would want to do it, your own personal art style. This is just how I do it. You might notice how I'm blending these colors out. I'm kind of going along the shape of the shell. I'm not kind of blending them left to right or, along the shorter side. I'm doing the longer side, mainly because that's kind of how shells are. So I wanted to kind of follow and mimic how shells actually look. And so that's why you're seeing me go in a certain direction as I'm shading and blending these colors out. Now let's go ahead and add a new layer and set this to Clippy Mask. We're going to add some detail. I'm going to add some lines that follow the shape of the shell. Now, forewarning, I do end up changing the way these look a little bit after I do that second shell because I liked how it looked in the second shell better. You could keep it the way that we're doing it here if you want. You can change it to be the other way, but just know that I do end up changing these lines here because of that second shell. I liked how it looked on that second shell. So feel free if you want to fast forward this portion, you can do that and start working on that second shell, or if you want to keep it this way, feel free to follow along. And I'm just using white for these lines. We're going to alpha lock these lines and add in some color in a second, but white just helps me see where these lines are getting drawn. So now that we have them done, we're going to do an alpha lock, and we're just going to pick up some of the colors that we already have on the shell. Have fun with this. Again, you don't have to copy exactly how I'm doing it, but I'm just going to add some color here and there following that same pattern, kind of how I was doing when we were doing the colors and mixing them in. I'm kind of following the shape of the shell. I'm not going across these lines. I'm going kind of perpendicular to how these lines are laid. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just adding in color and blending it out. And now that we're done with that shell, we're going to do basically the same method that we did on that one with this second shell that's in the back. So we're going to start with some colors. We're going to build in a lot of different colors. We'll blend it out, and then we'll add those lines with the detail at the end. Again, like I mentioned, the shell, the first one that we did, I do change those lines. So you'll see how I do it on this shell. I liked it better, so that's why I changed it on the first shell. But for now, we're just adding this color similar to how we did in the first shell, where I'm just adding very roughly where I want these main colors to be, and then we'll blend it out. I also, when I started adding blue to the shell, I realized I did not add blue to the first shell, so I went back and added just a little bit of blue, not too much. I do want these shells to be a little bit unique and different from each other, and so I didn't add too much like I did in the second shell. So I went back, add a little bit. You can keep it with the colors that you have. If you did add blue, then you don't have to worry about this at all, but I just went back in and added just a little bit here and there. And then I do add a little bit more red and a little bit more of the orangey and yellow colors to this shell in a second. So I'm going to tweak this shell a little bit more before we jump back to that second one. And now let's go ahead and go back to that second shell and start blending some of these colors out. I did end up using this white color to blend this shell out. I really like the look of it, so I just kept going with it. Very light blending. I didn't press too hard on the brush because I didn't want to have too much white, but it did work really well blending and making it look a little more cohesive for me and looking a little bit more like a shell. Now on a new layer that's set to clipping mask above this shell, we're going to start adding those lines similar to what we did with that first shell. And this is where I started liking the look of the lines on the second shell versus the first one. And so after I kind of place these, I'm going to go and change the lines on that first shell. Now we set these layers to alpha logs. We're going to do what we kind of did earlier. We're going to add some color to these lines that we added in just to blend them in a little bit so they're not just white. And then we will move on to the next section. Now we're going to add some white detail to the inner part of the shell here as if it's reflecting sunlight off of it. So make sure you're on that circle blend brush. We could do this as a new layer above everything else that we have here. Have that white selected and then just add some markings here and there around the edge of that shell where it's going from the outer to inner and then at the tips of the outer shell. And now we're working on the background layer. So add a new layer, bring it below all the other layers that we have here. And then we're going to grab some of these other colors. We have like this grayish blue color, greenish blue color. Grab that square blend brush and just start adding some texture to the background here. And then I'm going to grab this lighter color here, the white color, and add a ground here where the shells will be resting. And then we'll add in some shadow here in a second as well. We're just going to keep building up darker layers here as we add in the shadow. So I'll grab some of this blue tone and then I'll even go this darker grayish color here, grayish green color, just to build it up, and then we'll blend it out. And that's a wrap on our seashell sketch. If you love this, please leave a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to grab the template, color palette, and my free brush set from my Patreon. Links are listed below. Thank you for sketching with me, and I'll see you in the next video.